so excited because right now via Skype, we're being joined by Misty Lake, and she's going to talk with us a little bit about summer and being in the pool and the safety and why it's so important that we get swimming lessons for our kids. Misty, thank you so much for being here with us. I want to.
Thank you for having me.
Well, and we're thrilled. And we are, I want to say this, we're having a little bit of Skype difficulties on and off this morning. We're hoping for the best, keeping fingers crossed. It is not on Misty's end. I don't even think it's on Skype's end. For some reason, we're having some internet issues here in Woodland Hills this morning. But Misty, let's start a little bit with your particular qualifications because you've been working in this field for a while. Tell the folks at home how long you've been working with special needs kids for swimming.
I've been working with them for over 20 years. It's been a huge passion of mine, and it's just turned into a wonderful way to have a career and spend my time. I truly believe that they're the little angels in my life.
Wow, wonderful. And so, but you've been a swim instructor. You didn't start out thinking, okay, I'm going to be in the field of special needs swimming, did you? How did that happen?
No, actually, a couple years into teaching, I wanted to get into some volunteer work. I've always loved it, and I called up. I was in school at Arizona State, and I called up Special Olympics in Arizona. And instead of, for that whatever reason, for instead of them having me be a day of volunteer, they actually put me right onto the state games committee. So for the entire state of Arizona for Special Olympics, and I did a summer event that did not involve swimming, and by the time we were done with that event, they automatically asked me if I would be the director for the entire state. And I did that for probably about 10 years and even traveled back once I moved to California to keep doing it. I'm not really sure. I think it just fell into the right place. I'm not sure how they came to the conclusion. I think I was 22, and they put me in charge of it, and I had over 500 swimmers every year and just absolutely fell in love with it and wanted to learn more and more and more. And here we are today, over 20 years later.
Well, I have to say that, I've never met you in person, but I can tell just from a conversation that we had on the phone the other day that you have a energy about you that is very patient and kind and loving, and that you definitely have a passion for making sure that our kids are swimmers and safe swimmers. And that's really what I want you to talk about is why is it so essential that our kids become swimmers and safe swimmers?
Well, I do. I absolutely have a passion for this. And like I said, I think that these are my angels in my life. They turn my day around and make my day happier. And I think anybody who gets some time to spend with them will find the same thing. But for swimming, we know that those on the spectrum have a tendency to flee towards water. And they're so most of them are little escape artists, and so teaching them to swim is huge. Another thing is that underwater, it's very quiet for them. So those that have the sensory issues where loud noises or all the background noises can get to them, they tend to like to go underwater because it's quiet. There's a sense of peace to them. And so if they do, those that flee, if they flee towards water, most of the time you will find them underwater and trying to stay under there as long as possible. As well as the ones that don't have a sense of fear or pain, they're not going to realize that that's not where they can stay. So if by teaching them to swim and getting them in the water and teaching them the safety, especially in their own pools and the pools in their neighborhoods, things like that, it's a huge benefit to them because they can learn so much. As well as it also does a lot of, I hate to use the word therapy because we're not therapists, but just more mental therapy for them, where it can give them a calming feeling and give them something to look forward to and something new for them to learn. And they absolutely can learn to swim.
Yeah, and the vast majority of our kids that are on the autism spectrum, as you were saying, love the water. They want to be close to the water. They want to be in the water. I don't think that I've ever heard somebody before explain so eloquently, Misty, about the fact that that it's quiet under the water. I know we've talked before in the past about the fact that water pushes against your skin, and sometimes our kids need that proprioceptual, I'm not even saying the word right, but you know what I mean, the pressure, that they like the feel of the pressure. But I'd never thought before about the quiet. And you will see often that there are kiddos who are in the pool who there's one aspect of it or the other that they find really reinforcing. They want to be in the pool. But how do you then, occasionally, I'm sure you get a kid who's afraid of the water, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And are you able to overcome that as well?
Yes, absolutely. The ones that are afraid, typically what a parent's going to do is they're going to try to pull them out and say, oh, they're not ready, or, oh, this is too hard for you. And no, it's not. No, it's not. And to be honest, for me, I actually enjoy the presented challenge. It gives me something new to work with. It's not the everyday average, but the majority do like to go in. The ones that don't, you can get them in. It just, in a sense, needs to be on their terms, and not completely, but we do a lot with social stories, teaching them, about the things they're going to have to go through to get from the parking lot to the pool, and when they get in the pool. And it's a new environment. It's a sensory thing for them, and teaching them what it's like. So there's been lessons too that the first day that maybe we only get their feet in or a couple fingers. There's been ones where I've had them sit on the side of the pool and, with me while we watch another class happen, so that they can kind of anticipate what's going to happen, and they have a little bit of what we're going to do, that I'm not going to just throw them in the water and let go. And that, I think, is huge for them, is just in the beginning, it has to be on their own terms. But once you get them in the water, you see so much out of them. And typically then they're, you get a lot of bouncing around and splashing because they want to stay in. It's hard to get them out once we learn to, teach them to get in. But right. I think that the patience and the time to do what they need for them is huge. And involving the parents, talking about it before they come, talking about it after they leave, talking about it every day. Okay, in 2 days we're going to go swimming again, and 1 day we're going to go swimming again, and continuously talking about it so that they get in their heads that that's what we're going to do, and that we're there to help them.
Now, I think a lot of parents have heard the statistics about drowning, and they think, okay, I would really like for my child to be a good, safe swimmer. I would love it if they could enjoy the pool and that I didn't have to worry. But I think we get paralyzed, some of us as parents, because the whole idea of finding a swim teacher who understands autism is overwhelming to us. So give us some tips and some hints here about what do we do to find somebody who knows what they're doing?
Well, the biggest thing is, do your research and ask the questions. If somebody says that they're fine taking your student, that doesn't really answer much. One of the biggest things is I'm part of a committee with the United States Swim School Association that we actually teach other instructors how to work with children of all disabilities. It is our special abilities course, because we teach the teachers how to work with the abilities of each student, not cater to their disabilities. We cater to their abilities because they can do so much. So if you look at their website, which is usswimschools.org, there's all their schools or members are listed there, and all of those schools are eligible to take the course. So when you call, you can ask if they have any instructors who have taken the special abilities course. Of course, there are other avenues and other certifications out there, but of course, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
We've done a lot, and also we've worked a lot with Tammy Anderson, who does the swimming with autism. So a lot of the instructors from the Swim School Association have also taken her course and are very versed on autism, just from Tammy, but then as well as the special abilities course, we go over all disabilities.
And for people who are new to the show, Tammy Anderson is a good friend of the show, and we absolutely adore her. And she wrote the book, Autism and Swimming, which we had talked about this the other day. When I said, is there a book that you recommend? And you said Tammy's Book. So
yes.
we call Tammy the swim chick here. So we love,
absolutely.
But I want to go back to, because you teach in the Bakersfield area. So if somebody is looking for a swimming instructor in Bakersfield, we want to let them know that you're available to swim with their kids and to teach them. And you actually prefer to swim in the pool and do the lesson in the pool where the child will be swimming on a regular basis. Is that correct?
Yes, I feel it's beneficial to the student, but then also to the parent, because I can teach the student about the surroundings of the house and the pool itself, but then also teach the parent about some of the natural things for their children to do, but also to how we can help them and what they can be working on at home in between lessons or in between time.
And Tammy, Tammy, yeah, this I told you I've cold brain today. We were just talking about Tammy. I know you're Misty. Misty, how can people get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me would be my phone number, which is area code 661, and that's 243-5061. And then I also have my email, which is just my name, Misty Hall, at att.net. And those are the best ways to get a hold of me. And if I can't help them, I absolutely can help them find a school that can. A lot of people don't have pools, and there are other swim schools that have indoor pools that can help them year round. And no matter what city they're in, I can try to help them find somebody.
Okay, and then let's take just a second to talk about what have you seen? Give us an example of one or two kids that you've worked with, and how being a safe swimmer has changed the dynamic for them.
Some of the most extreme ones have, by far been my favorites, and getting them in the water and giving them that release, but then also teaching them to float. Some of them we've taught to even, wearing a life vest so that it's not something, sometimes they like the pressure, but sometimes they don't want to wear an extra device. So if we teach them how to wear a life vest, parents can feel that a little bit more freedom to go to the lake and things like that. They can turn over and float on their back and be a little bit safer. They're never going to be safe. But then also working with them to have that feeling of going underwater, but knowing that they have to come back up. They have to learn to come back up. How to safely enter the water. They don't just charge towards the pool and jump right in. They need to walk in, or they need to sit down and get in very carefully, and also how to get out. Those are huge things for any child, but especially those on the spectrum, because they tend to just get excited and just want to go jump right in and don't know to come back up. And so those are the huge things. It's just those safety features of getting them into those natural surroundings.
And do you feel like it's safe to say that you can teach that to pretty much any child, no matter what their skill level is?
I believe so. I absolutely do. I'm not going to tell you a timeline on it,
right,
but I believe that any child can learn it. Yes, absolutely.
Because I'm very involved with a program that's called STOP, which talks about stopping autism death by elopement, and the T in the STOP stands for teach, and how essential it is that we really have to give our children good skills, and one of those skill areas to make sure that they're safe is swimming, that it's a reality for our kiddos that are on the autism spectrum. And I have a good friend who's a doctor who says to parents, I want you to imagine your child looking directly into your face and saying, at some point, I am going to run away from you and I'm going to run towards water. And if your child could look at you and say that to you, what would you do to prepare? And that whatever that is, that we should all be doing it. Because we know that over 50% of our kids do elope, and we know that they're drawn to water. I don't think that it's, I would never say to somebody, well, just learning how to swim is the entire answer to that, but it's a big component of it. And when you think about what the other benefits are, it's a no-brainer. Because it will help them socialize. It gives them good physical fitness. It is a wonderful sensory tool for them. It's a great thing.
No, absolutely. And the thing is, too, that parents really should learn, and it's very hard concept for any parent, is that swim lessons need to be year-round. It's not just because it's warm out that they're going to want to get in the pool. It's, December, it's still water. They still see it. They still want to get in it. Lessons need to be year round and consistent so that they can learn and they can keep those skills. Even my own children take swim lessons year round. I refuse to let them stop until they're way older. All children should. And so that's part of it too, with the United States Swim School Association, and learning where these schools are and getting involved with them and staying involved with them.
That's a really good point that I don't often think about. Thank you so much for saying that. And is there an age at which you think is ideal for starting swim lessons?
To be honest, any child over 6 weeks.
Okay.
And the main reason for that is their 6-week checkup with the doctor, just to see if there's anything major with the musculoskeletal system. But other than that, any child 6 weeks and up, I recommend. My own children were in at 4 weeks.
There you go. Amazing. Well, I'm really glad to know you, and I'm excited for all the families in Bakersfield that are going to get an opportunity to get to know you and work with you and get their kids to be safe swimmers. And we really want to encourage everybody out there to find a program that is good for their kids on the autism spectrum, using some of the different tips that you've given us today. Thank you so much for being here with us, Misty.
Thank you for having me.
All right. You have a good weekend.
Thanks. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Super duper important. So get those swim lessons going.